Assalamualaikum. My name is Shakira Tasha binti Muhammad Nayan. My metric number is 299184. So today I will be presenting the introduction for our assignment which is awareness, perception and political participation as determinants of trust in Malaysian democracy among UUM students. So, Malaysia practices a parliamentary democratic system under a constitutional monarchy where citizens participate in governance through election, voting and civic involvement. So, in a democratic country, public trust is important because it ensures political stability, effective governance and confidence in democratic institutions such as parliament and judiciary. However, issues such as political instability, corruption, leadership changes and concern about transparency have influenced public confidence toward democracy in Malaysia, especially among young people and university students. So, university students are an important group because they represent future voters, leaders and policymakers who will shape the country's democratic futures. In addition, students today are high exposed to political information through social media and digital platforms, which may influence their awareness, perception and political participation. Therefore, this study examines how awareness, perception and political participation influence trust in Malaysia democracy among UUM students.
For the problem statement, the main problem that can be raised is that some students may have varying levels of awareness about Malaysian democracy. Some students know that democracy means elections but do not necessarily understand the role of important institutions such as the functions of parliament, the Yang di-Pertuan Agong, the conference of rules, the judiciary and the divisions of power between the federal and the state governments. Besides, students' assessment of the Malaysian democratic system can also affect their levels of trust. If students see the Malaysian political system as non-transparent, involving corruption or abuse of power, students' trust will decrease in the democratic system itself, which is defined as functioning well. Next problem is that political involvement among students may still be low or there are limited programs to defend it. Some students may follow political issues through various platforms but are not active in participating in political issues, discussions, forums, campus elections, voter registrations or democracy-related activities. The conceptual framework of these studies discuss the relationship between independent variables and dependent variables that guide these studies. In these studies, the independent variables consist of awareness of Malaysia's democracy, perceptions of the democratic systems, and political participation. The dependent variables is trust in Malaysian democracy. This framework aims to illustrate the level of students' awareness, their perceptions of the democratic system and their level of involvement in the democratic process can influence the level of trust in Malaysian democracy among UUM students.
Research methodology part. The study used a quantitative research design with a survey method to examine students' awareness, perception, political participation and also trust toward Malaysian democracy. So a total of 102 students from UUM representing diverse faculty, years of study, gender and also income background. So data were collected through an online questionnaire on Google Form divided into sections on demography, awareness, perception, participation and also trust. A 5-point Likert scale was used to measure this response. Okay, so the survey was distributed online for convenience and efficiency. Data was analyzed using descriptive statistics and present in percentage, tables and also graphs. So overall, this methodology provided valuable insight into students' view on Malaysian democracy. For research finding, which is section A, we talk about demographic profile of respondents. A total of 102 students from UUM participated in the study. So they are different between gender, age, year of study, faculty, and also household income. From this study, there were 53.9 respondents that were female and 46.1 were male. For age, the majority is 35.3% were aged 22 to 23 years old, that followed by those aged 24 years old and above. So most respondents were mature students with greater exposure to political issues. For year of study, Year 3 students formed the largest group at 40.2%, while Year 2 students had the lowest participation. Okay, for the faculty, 62.7% were from the College of Business, and followed by College of Arts and Science, and then followed by colleges. Okay, for the household income, most respondents came from B40 and M40 household, with incomes between 0 ringgit to 3,900 to 99 ringgit. So overall, the respondents represent diverse background in gender, age, faculty, income, providing varied perspective for the study. Okay, for section B, which is we need to collect data about awareness of Malaysian democracy. So this section measures respondent awareness and understanding of Malaysian democracy using 5-point Likert scale. So overall, students show a relatively high level of awareness. Okay, for the first one, understanding of democracy, there are nearly 70% of respondents agree and strongly agree that they understand the concept of democracy in Malaysia. However, 24.5% remain neutral, suggesting some lack confidence in their knowledge. Okay, for the election and voter right, there are over 70% understood how elections are conducted, and also 73.5% were aware of their right as voters. For the engagement with political issues, there are only 58.8% that actively follow current political and democratic issues, while 32.4% remain neutral. So this shows lower active engagement compared to basic knowledge. For the principle of democracy, which is more than 66% were familiar with principles like fairness and equality. So from all this finding, the conclusion is the UM students generally have good awareness of democratic concept, election and voters' rights. However, the high number of neutral response indicates some students lack confidence or deeper understanding. Strengthening civic and democratic education is needed among UUM students to improve political awareness and encourage active participation.
Based on our survey findings on the perceptions of Malaysia's democratic system, most respondents still believe that democracy in Malaysia is functioning. However, the survey also reveals several weaknesses and warning signs that should not be ignored. One major weakness is the very high number of the natural responses. For many questions, the percentage of natural answer was almost equal to the percentage of agreement. This is important because neutral does not always mean satisfied or supportive. It may also mean confusion, doubt, fear of expressing opinions openly, or lack of confidence in the democratic system. For example, for the statement elections in Malaysia are conducted fairly, 34.3% of respondents agreed, but another 34.3% chose neutral. This means the number of people who are unsure is just as high as the number who believe elections are fair. This shows that public trust in elections is still fragile. One reason for this doubt may be political instability in recent years. After 2018 general elections, Malaysia experienced changes of government and political parties switching without a new elections. For many citizens, this created the feeling that their votes might not fully guarantee political stability even though people voted the government still changed through political arrangement, and this caused some Malaysians to question the effectiveness of their vote. In conclusion, democracy can be strengthened by improving civic education, ensuring transparent election, promoting fair media reporting, and encouraging youth participation. If all parties work together, Malaysia can continue to build a democratic system that is fair, strong, and trusted by the people.
Next, I will explain the findings for section D, which is focuses on political participation among UM students involving 102 respondents. So our findings show that most respondents are interested in participating in election. So a total of 36 respondents, which is 35.3%, selected agree, while 23 respondents, which is 22.5%, selected strongly agree. So this shows that students are aware of the importance of election in a democratic system. Besides that, 33 respondents agreed that they are willing to vote in future election, while 29 respondents strongly agree, reflecting a positive attitude towards democratic responsibility among students. So the data also shows that many students follow political news and democratic issues. About 34 respondents agreed that they regularly follow political news, while 36 respondents remain neutral in terms of discussion. So 29 respondents also agree that and 24 respondents strongly agree that they discuss political or democratic issues with others, indicating that students are becoming more open in sharing opinion and engaging in political conversations. However, participation in democratic activities such as forum and campaign is still moderate. A total of 37 respondents agree that they participate in democracy-related activity, while 25 respondents selected neutral responses. Additionally, 36 respondents agree that their participation can influence government decisions, while 34 respondents remain neutral. Overall, the findings show that political participation among UUM students is generally positive. However, some students are still politically passive despite having political awareness. So in conclusion, political participation plays an important role in strengthening trust in Malaysian democracy, especially among university students as future citizens and leaders.
Based on the check, the majority of respondents have positive attitude of trust towards the democratic system in Indonesia. The total result showed that 36 of respondents agree and 27 of respondents strongly agree. This reflects that the fact the majority of UUM students they have confidence in the democratic system practiced in Malaysia. However, 24 of respondents choose neutral, showing that there are still students who do not have fully confidence in the Malaysian democratic system. The statement, I believe the government represents the people's voice, 36 of respondents agree and 22 of respondents strongly agree. This shows that respondents are confident that the government can bring the people's voice in making decisions. The majority of students still see the government as an institution that plays a role in bringing the will of the people. The finding for the statement, I have confidence in the election result, explain that respondents who choose neutral have the highest percentage, which is 41 of respondents. This shows that many students are still skeptical about the election results. The higher neutral percentage shows that the trust in election process is still at a moderate level. Therefore, the transparency and integrity of the election process need to be further strengthened. The statement, I trust public institutions involved in election, 39 of respondents agree and 23 of respondents strongly agree, indicating a total of positive response of it. These results show that students place trust in public institutions involved in the election process. The finding shows that trust in electoral institutions is at a relatively good level, but still need to be improved through transparency, fairness, and institutional accountability. For the statement, I am satisfied with how democracy is practiced in Malaysia, so 33 of respondents agree and 38 of respondents strongly agree with the way democracy is practiced in Malaysia. However, 27 of respondents choose neutral, indicating that there are still students who are less satisfied with Malaysian democracy. For the statement, I believe Malaysia is moving towards a stronger democracy, 37 of respondents agree and 27 of respondents strongly agree, showing that the majority of students believe Malaysia is moving towards a stronger democracy. To sum up, the survey conduct in section E shows that the surveyed students hold a moderately positive level of trust in democratic system. Most response approve of the four core elements, which are the democratic system, electoral institutions, protections of citizens' rights, and the country's direction of democratic systems. However, the shares of neutral response is relatively high, and some students have thought about the transparency, integrity, fairness, and the effectiveness of democracy.
Now, I would like to present several suggestions to improve democracy in Malaysia. Democracy is important because it allows citizens to choose leaders, express their opinions, and participate in the country's development. However, there are still some areas that can be improved to make democracy stronger and fairer for everyone. First, civic and democratic education should be improved. Based on the study, some people are still unsure about the topics such as election transparency, democratic institutions, and the roles of voters. This shows that some citizens may not fully understand how democracy works or why voting is important. Therefore, schools, universities, and government agencies should organize more civic awareness about political forums and educational campaigns. For example, universities can organize a mock elections day where students experience the voting process and learn how its elections work. This activity can help young people become more confident and responsible as a future voter. When people understand democracy better, they can make wiser decisions and become more active citizens. Next, transparency in the elections process. It should be improved. Some respondents were still neutral about the fairness of elections, which means they are still concerned about whether elections are fully open and fair, and also this issue should be solved, which is the Elections Commission can provide clearer information through live broadcast and official digital platforms during the elections. For example, during vote counting, the public can watch the process live online. This can reduce doubts and increase public trust because people are able to see that the process is carried out and is honestly and fairly. Transparent elections are important because they ensure that the people's voices are truly respected. Besides that, fair and balanced media reporting is also very important. Many people get a political information from television, newspaper, and social media. If the media only support one side, citizens may receive biased information. Therefore, media organizations should report fairly and avoid spreading fake or misleading news. For example, during election campaign, television channel can give equal interview opportunities to all political parties. So this allows citizens to hear different opinions before making decisions. Balanced reporting helps society think critically and avoid political misunderstanding. Lastly, youth participation in the democracy should be encouraged because young people are the future leaders of the country. The government, university, and youth organizations can organize activities such as youth parliament, leadership seminars, debate, and community projects. For example, a youth parliament program allows students to discuss national issues and suggest solutions just like real members of parliament. This can build confidence, leadership skills, and political awareness among the young people.
This study shows that UUM students generally have a positive awareness, perception, and level of trust toward Malaysian democracy. The findings indicate that most respondents understand the basic concept of democracy, elections, voter rights, and the role of citizens in the democratic system. In addition, many students also show positive attitudes toward political participation and democratic involvement. However, several findings also recorded high numbers of neutral responses, especially regarding election transparency, political leadership, media fairness, and confidence in democratic institutions. This suggests that some students are still uncertain or less confident about certain aspects of democracy in Malaysia. Therefore, efforts such as improving civic education, increasing transparency in governance, ensuring fair media reporting, and encouraging youth participation are important to strengthen democratic awareness and trust among university students. Overall, this study proves that awareness, positive perception, and active political participation are important factors in building trust toward Malaysian democracy among University Utara Malaysia students.
So my answer is political awareness is important because it helps students understand democratic principle, citizens' rights, and the role of government institution in Malaysia. So students who are politically informed are more likely to participate responsibly in democratic activities such as voting, political discussion, and civic engagement. So besides that, awareness helps students to evaluate political issues more critically and avoid being easily influenced by misinformation or biased political views. Therefore, higher political awareness can strengthen students' confidence and trust in Malaysian democracy. So I think student perception toward transparency and accountability greatly influence their trust in democracy. When government institutions are seen as fair, transparent, and responsible, students are more likely to have confidence in democracy governance. However, negative perceptions such as corruption, abuse of power, and political instability may reduce trust toward democratic institutions. So, positive perception toward government are important in ensuring stronger democratic confidence among university students.
Among the steps that can be taken is through civic education and strengthening institutional integrity. First, civic education needs to be strengthened in universities so that students better understand the functions of democracy, the federal constitutions, people's rights, elections, and the role of government institutions. This understanding is important so that students are not easily influenced by incorrect information or biased political views. In addition, the government and public institutions need to be strengthened in values of integrity, transparency, and accountability. When institutions are seen to function fairly and ethically, the younger generation's confidence in democracy will increase. In conclusion, trust in democracy does not only depend on the system, but also on the people's understanding, participations, and the integrity-based governance practices. The political involvement of the younger generation is important because they are part of people who will determine the direction of the country in the future. When the younger generation is involved in the democratic process, such as voting, following current issues, participating in forums, of giving their views responsibly, they can help ensure that the government is more sensitive to the needs of the people. In addition, political involvement can also reduce apathy towards national issues. If students are only observed without participating, their voice may be less taken into account in the decision-making process. Therefore, the active participation of the younger generation is important to ensure that democracy remains alive, balanced, and responsive to the wishes of the people.